Are you ready?
Yes!
Are you ready to prosper?
Yes!
Are you ready to have money?
Yes!
Are you ready to have doors open for you?
Yes!
Are you ready for the entire universe to support your every move?
Yes!
We're going to do our treatment for prosperity together aloud.
I do know that God is the source of all supply, and that money is God in action. I know that my good is here now. I am so rich and so full that I have an abundance of money to spare and to share today and always. I know that true prosperity includes perfect health, perfect wealth, and perfect happiness. This word which I speak in faith knowing now activates universal law, and I accept the results. I bless all that I have now, and I bless the increase. I bless all the others in the increased income program of our class, and I know that we now prosper together in every way. I give thanks for this good, and so it is.
Do it again.
I do know that God is the source of all supply, and that money is God in action. I know that my good is here now. I am so rich and so full that I have an abundance of money to spare and to share today and always. I know that true prosperity includes perfect health, perfect wealth, and perfect happiness. This word which I speak in faith knowing now activates universal law, and I accept the results. I bless all that I have now, and I bless the increase. I bless all the others in the increased income program of our class, and I know that we now prosper together in every way. I give thanks for this good, and so it is.
Welcome to Class 7 of the 2018 Summer Prosperity Series at Center for Spiritual Living Asheville. I want to bring your awareness to just a little bit of housekeeping before we start lining up for the mic. For the next 2 weeks, there is no class. Next week, John and I will be at the beach. The following week is Labor Day. So we are not having class until September 10th, where we will start Science of Mind 101. How many people are familiar with the Science of Mind textbook? What do you think about it? Excellent. Fantastic. Wonderful, phenomenal, life-changing. So if you want all that presented a la Barbara Waterhouse, this class is the class for you. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to actually be able to delve deep into the fundamental principles of Science of Mind. We will be learning and practicing spiritual mind treatment for each other. It's going to be a lot of fun in this class, so I encourage you and invite you to come to it. And now, here's the deal. If you have had increased income this past week, or if you have had increased income and haven't made your way up to the mic yet, come on up, bring your check, put it in the basket, tell your story, and let's celebrate.
Hey, Shirley.
Someone paid me back money that they had owed me for a long time that I never expected to get.
I found $1 in a parking lot, so that's money coming in. And I found 7 cents in change cleaning up a transient camp. And I know my good is here now. And I got a free meal at a festival this weekend, plus a free beer. So planning on that.
Free beer?
Yes, free beer, yes, and food. Boiled peanuts, free. And about a month ago, my ex-lover called me, and we'd had a house that we renovated when we were in Dallas, and he had sold that, and I thought we'd, finalized up all the monies that we had. And he says, "Oh, I think I still owe you about $3,000 to $5,000."
Wow.
But the money's not in my hand, so I've got this pledge. Say I pledge 10%.
Another friend?
them our gas money.
Yay!
I found 37 cents at Earth Fair. I went to get my mineral water, and when I went to pick it up, somebody had laid it down on one of those boxes, and so I just scooped right up. And also I found other change on the parking lot I've given before. I've given the whole 37 cents.
So I found some those scratch ticket things, lottery tickets. That's it. That I just found them in a purse that I changed out, and so I made $4 off of them. And then I found a penny. And so we're tithing 100% on what we found though, for two reasons. One of the things is this teaching, and John and Barbara, really helped Deb and me know that regardless of appearances, everything is in its perfect and divine order, and that if we thought it, we created it, and it's happening. And that is like incredibly important. And another reason, I believe in tithing, but I also believe in what the center offers. Last week I was at the Leadership Council meeting, and we met with the practitioners from Utah, Salt Lake City's center. And one of the ladies has just recently become blind, and she was asking us if we knew of any place that had books on tape about science of mind. And when I gave her the website, her daughter and her both started crying.
Wow.
And then when I said, by the way, they're free, they almost passed out.
I was out shooting last week a lot, and I sold one of my Milky Way photographs, and a photography job that I do for friends that was going to be a meal that I said, let's take me out to dinner. Well, they paid me for it.
So I have a bit of story, just a little. So I committed back to tithing again because I've been a periodic tither throughout my time. And so I was like, for this class, I'm going to tithe the whole time. The first thing that happened is that my credit card got skimmed, or my debit card got skimmed. And I realized it because on Sunday, this is like back beginning of class, I was like, I'm gonna go skip out and go to the pool, but it rained, so I was like, all right, I gotta go to the center. I get to go to the center, that's what I meant to say. Yes. And I like the pool a lot. So, but I logged in to figure out what my tithe was and realized that my card had been skimmed, and I found out within like 3 days. So I wasn't worried about it at all, which is because of this teaching, because I said, they cannot take from me what is mine, and that is mine, so it's gonna come back. And then we got it back with no problem whatsoever in just a couple of days, and the FBI is investigating and has a conference call with the cop later, which is kind of cool too. I got a cool cop. Anyway, so there's that, and then I got an upgrade on a car when I moved to Florida. I won $10. I've already tithed on this. And then the other thing that I haven't been able to talk about until today, I have permission, is that I got a promotion for a job that did not exist when this class started. And what I've been treating for a while is to have an office in Asheville, because I travel a lot, but not to have to give up the offices that I've built up. And so I've got a regional director position with an office in Asheville, and I'm still overseeing those sites. That just significant increase.
Several months ago, I made a sizable purchase, and then I changed my mind, but the merchant didn't want to give me a refund, and we went round and round for several weeks, and he was adamant that he was not going to refund. So finally, I filed a complaint with the credit card company, and they did an investigation, and this week I found out that I won.
Okay, so my story is more for the spare share.
Yeah, the mic's not on.
It's on, I can
to blow the batteries low as well.
So my story is more for the spare and share aspect of perfect happiness. I have a friend who has been working in Malawi, Africa, and has been building a community center and starting up a nonprofit where they make jewelry and she sells it here in Asheville.
Oh, great.
She just went back for a month this month, and before she was asking for electronics and stuff we don't use anymore. And so we went through all of our drawers and pulled out like old phones and cords and stuff like that. Well, she just sent me a message on Facebook giving me a picture of this gentleman who received one of our phones that we sent. She said that he just graduated high school. He has been raised by his sisters because his parents both parents died when he was younger. And because of the phones that we sent and he was given a job at the local phone company to do stuff with SIM cards in North Malawi, and so he's able to keep that job because we gave of the phones we gave. And so it's perfect happiness. So we're sparing and sharing that, and I won $10 on a scratch-off ticket.
Who's next? See how this works.
So a few weeks ago, I said that I thought I didn't pay too much. Okay, and I called corporate HR and they said we hadn't paid you enough. Well, they didn't pay me enough again.
I've been part of this class online, so I'm actually a week or so behind. In addition, I've been out of the loop for a couple of weeks because I'm in the process of moving. So this is more or less from the beginning of the class. Because we were moving and leaving town, a number of people took my wife and I out to dinner. And in addition to that, I gathered together a bunch of scrap gold, which I sold and got $2,200 for it. And the final thing is, I saved $2,000 on our moving expense by paying cash.
Yeah.
All right. I had some recent surprises. Sorry, what am I doing? I saw two big prints, Madeline framed, and one from a show I was in, and the other from a gallery. And then I was given a bonus for a big project that I did, so for $74.
Congratulations.
About 3 weeks ago, I was in this class, and then I got on a plane on Wednesday to fly, out to Portland, Oregon. And I was pretty terrified to go because I hadn't been back in 4 months because of an event that happened. And the flight was delayed, and then I went to get on the plane, and they had upgraded me to first class, which was a huge big deal. I wanted to call and send money, but here it is.
I left my license at T-Mobile, and they put it in the safe. They didn't call me back, and then they had an inspection. They shredded my license, and so when I went there, and this lady said, "Oh, we have your license." I said, and they went back to get my license, and they said, "Oh, we don't have your license," and they told me what happened. So I don't know if I should be proud of this or not, but I lost it, and then so I started alluding to crazy stuff like identity theft and all kind of just acting a fool, and so they give me a $30 credit, and so.
Yay! Okay, on the first night of class, I had a flood in my house, and that ended up being about $20,000 of renovations that I got for free. I am aware that I will be receiving a huge income tax return, so that's a future. In my hand, I have 100% tithe of money that someone gifted me. And the most exciting thing that happened this week was I was accepted into a speakers program to be mentored by somebody very famous. Yay!
Alright, so let's see here. So I used to collect Star Wars toys, and then I had nephews. And so I had like 40 big tubs full of this stuff, and really just to mess with my little brother, I sent 34 boxes one day to arrive at his doorstep full of Star Wars stuff. So I thought I had gotten rid of most of it, but I was looking around and found a bunch more. I was giving it to the neighbor kids or whatever, and then I was like, well, let's see what it's worth. I can put it on eBay. So did all the eBaying and made like $1,200 and some odd friggin' dollars. Plastic stuff from the basement, which I found extra even that wasn't there before. Then Carrie and I went to a concert with some old surf punk rock bands, and a guy in the parking lot. We had lawn seats, and he had seats out of the rain for like $45. Ours were $15. I'm like, yeah, we should get tickets. And Carrie's like, no, we shouldn't get tickets. All right. So we go in, and because it had been raining, we got free upgrades to seats to like $30 extra tickets. So.
Yay!
Do me a favor and go up in the closet and give me 2 AA batteries so I can get the other microphone working.
Come on, Jen.
Okay. All right. So I want to give a shout out to the other 2 aspects of true prosperity, which are health and happiness. So when I started this class, I was swimming a mile 3 days a week of continuous laps. And I decided during this period to see if I could increase it. So I'm now at 1.25 miles 4 times a week. And I gotta say that my body is absolutely loving this. It's like party time. So that's been really great. And then the other thing that happened, this was very interesting for me. It was 6 weeks ago, I was standing up here and saying that, I was losing 55% of my income because of my disability. My private disability ran out. And so I was needing to get a roommate in order to afford to stay in the house that I live in now. And I wasn't really thrilled with that idea, to have to share space. But the strangest thing has happened. We are now really good friends. She's only been here for 4 weeks, but we're such good friends. We do things together all the time. We share meals, and it's just been a total surprise for both of us. So it reminded me of Barbara's always saying, when there's something tragic that comes down, to always think of, there's some good in this that's going to be coming down the pipe, whether it's a pony or something else. But it's been great. Thank you.
So I've been very determined to have increased income every single week during this course, and this week was a little flat. And then last night we went out to dinner with friends, and they paid.
Brian.
Hello. So today, my neighbor, we discussed it last week, she wanted to borrow my truck for a week or 2 while she's getting hers work on. And of course, no problem, it's an extra truck. So she got it today, and she insisted on giving me $100. I didn't want to take it, but she has the money, and she would not take no for an answer. So I'm like, all right, I'll take it.
Yay, Brian. Just stand there, just wait. Oh, I'll stand there. Agatha. Laura, I can do that.
Was taken to dinner this week to a really nice restaurant by a friend of mine and stuff, and so I'm tithing on that because it was a very, very nice experience. And then I had another friend just come up and tell me that Spirit told me her to tithe to me, and I was like, wow, okay, this is really great. So I'm tithing on that too. Yay, thank you.
Hold on while we do the mic fix. Did you get them in? It's tricky. Test. Oh, yeah, good. So, this is the last class, and always on the last class, after we've shared all the money stories, I open it up to the other aspects of prosperity. Because we all know that true prosperity includes perfect health, perfect wealth, and perfect happiness. So we have a number of stories, I'm sure, in the room about health and happiness and good things that have happened. Because when you get your thoughts going in a certain direction, not only does money show up, but other good and wonderful things happen. I want to share two stories first. One is from Deborah Belcher, who won a sweepstakes at her bank of $750 this week. And the grandparent of one of her piano students wrote her a thank you note with a $150 check in it because they're so grateful that she is teaching their granddaughter piano and teaching it correctly. So she wanted you to know that she's had $900 come in this week, and as soon as she gets here or gets online, the tithe will be coming in. And the other one is not a money story, but I've been conversing with a woman on email that used to come here. Those of you who've been here for a while may remember Barbara Updike.
Oh, yes.
Barbara Updike was in this class 4 years ago, and John did his class on purpose. And he asked, what do you have passion about? And she came up with, well, I have great passion for taking photographs, which she does. But when she thought about it, she has greater passion for all things Japanese. And she got it in this class 4 years ago that she could move to Japan. Wow. She moved to Japan and has been there for at least 3 years. She moved pretty quick. Boy, when she decided to go, she just went. And she has never been happier. She has deep, close friends, and she loves being there. And she wanted to just share with everybody that sitting in this room 4 years ago gave her the permission to really go for what she wanted in life. And she had the courage to do it, and everything has worked out great. So Deb Love's going to be first of stories of good things that have happened. Whoever else has something to share, then they might want to come up here and share that.
So during this class, I went to a wedding in Alabama where I grew up, and I stayed at my mom's house. And I had the best visit with my mom I've ever had in my entire life. And I used to always want to have a close relationship with her, but I never did. And she came out to visit last year around this time and stayed at my house for the first time ever as an adult. My mom came to see me. And now she gets me. She understands after staying at my house for a few days, she figured out, and we're emailing regularly now and talking, and I'm enjoying it quite a lot. In fact, I miss her, and I'm thinking of ways to get back down there to see her again, and my sister. And I love my four-legged animals. Everybody who knows me knows that. And my sister does as well, and so she was fostering this beautiful little dog, and so she brought it over, and I looked at it, and of course it came home with me. And she's so sweet. I knew that if I didn't get her to somebody else, we'd have her. So anyway, Judith, who's never had a dog in her life, she's 60 years old, has her first dog, and the sweetest dog on earth, perfect dog for Judith. So I'm happy to have made that love connection. And the other thing is I've been drawn to horses over the last several years, but I've not really been around them much. And I decided I wanted to volunteer at Horse Sense, the Hard Horse Sense. So I finally made it over there, did the orientation and all, and I started volunteering. And they really have to do hard labor for an hour and a half. And then after the hour and a half, you get to play with the horses. And my body is feeling fantastic. I've been building trails and doing all kinds of things, but I think the horses have been really special. And it's been really wonderful, and I'm going to continue to do that. And I even found horses when my dog got loose last week. This is a trip of a story.
Make it short.
My dog got loose, and I ran into the neighbor's yard and got a hold of a duck that was a pet, and all these other chickens were in the pen, and they all died, and so we thought they were all dead. And the neighbor had a baseball bat. Anyway, I'm texting Barbara, please text, please treat, because, this is scary. So anyway, what happened was Daisy Duck was her name, it was a pet. Started drinking water and started quacking, and now she's fine. And so I'm like, yay, Daisy Duck lives! So that's really, really good. Barbara was treating for Daisy Duck, and I'm going to be taken away from this. But anyway, everything is great, and I just want to say,
So I was involved in that dog, looking for that dog, and I waited at Deb's house and I treated twice. And the second I treated that, I knew Stella was walking up the driveway, and I turned around and I looked and she was standing next to me. But I was the recipient of that dog. I love that dog. He goes everywhere with me. I have never had a dog. That dog is so smart. She is so amazing, and I have calmed down. My mood is better. I'm happy. It's not that I wasn't happy with my cats, but they're kind of hard to drag around, And it was all about love. Love the loves, love. And it's all about love.
So a lot has happened for me. One of the biggest things is, for the first time in I don't know a very long time, I've given up sugar. And I'm really happy about that for me. For me, it's a big thing. It's just, I feel so much better. I feel so much, my pants are getting big, everything's changed, and I just have a lot more energy, so I'm excited about that. I'm excited about our business because I have my own marketing business for 12 years as a writer and a marketer, and for the last 2-3 years I've sort of been kind of just floating around, just playing house and decorating, and it really didn't have any kind of direction or inspiration, or I didn't know what I wanted to do in this next phase of my life. It really felt clear, like I talked about the last time. I got clarity about, and I've been writing like crazy, since that's what I do for our new businesses, our new online businesses, so I've been writing. It's just been like so much, so the creativity just blown out of me.
Yay!
Well, mine is a bit of a money issue. Not going any higher yet. But it's not money that has come in yet. But in my line of work, when the work comes in, you're busy. When there's no work, then, you're not so busy. So the contractor that I normally work for, he doesn't have a house being built right now, so I don't have any work to do with him. But I just keep getting calls coming in from word of mouth, other contractors that have heard of me through my contractor. So it's keeping me very busy. And then this one gentleman goes, I've never gotten a job this big before, but I'm going to need you for about 3 months.
All right.
He says, I can't believe it. I says, I can believe it because I know why you're so busy, so I can stay busy. Health-wise, I changed my diet to, I'm slowly transitioning to raw food. And the days that I completely eat raw foods, I just feel so vibrant. I eat a lot less. And it's got me going back to yoga and being so active. And I don't feel that drag at 9 o'clock at night anymore like I used to. So it's so nice. So, yeah.
Okay, here we go.
All right. Since they're busy, I'll say, just in the last week or two, things have really shifted for me. I've made new friends and things. They've woken me up to more of myself. I'm really beginning to grasp that I am the power in my life, and my health is better. I'm walking every day with a friend of mine who wears a 40-pound weight vest while she walks with me. So I really admire her. And as everyone's saying, it feels really good. I have so much more energy, and I've shifted enough to where I'm going to for a week with my family, and I'm actually looking forward to seeing the shift in the dynamics of family this next week, and that's really exciting.
I just feel compelled to share a tiny bit about why I went out to Portland. In April, I was in a horrific car accident off of the Oregon coast, and the Oregon National Guard just happened, because that's the way it works with us, right? Just happened to be going by and stopped and rendered aid. And a few months ago, they sent me a request to go out and give an award to the gentleman that stopped in the accident. And I just couldn't find it within me to go, but I was coming to the prosperity classes, I was coming to the center, I was doing everything in life that we're supposed to do to be our highest and best self, and I found the courage to go out there. It was the most terrifying thing I've ever done in my entire life. And the gift of it is that when I went and I'm standing there in this situation, talking to these young men, because that's what the National Guard is, they're young men. And this gentleman is standing there with his hands behind his back and his sunglasses and looking all calm and cool. And he said, "Seeing you standing there alive is the best thing that ever could have happened to me." Wow. And I didn't know why I was supposed to go, but as soon as he said that, all of my worries went away, and I was so, so grateful that I found the courage to go, and I find that courage by coming here, so thank you all.
Yeah. David's got one.
I got a real big one, but you guys probably, a lot of you don't know because I didn't tell anybody, but I had an injury about 5 years ago and I wore my right hip bone and bone. And my doctor threw his arms up in the air and said that there was nothing he could do. So, you know, I was really in a lot of pain for about 5 years, and we were treating for this for 5 years. And this year is the strongest year I've ever had. The cartilage has grown back, and I grew it back. It was a
hallelujah!
Just grew it back, and a lot of treatments, and a whole lot of treatments, especially from Barbara and all the practitioners. So it's a huge miracle. I think I'm going to put it right up there with surviving cancer or something like that. It was huge for me.
Yay, David!
For all the treatments.
Yes.
My turn? Yes, I have one. Am I on?
No, use that mic.
Why?
Because it makes a noise.
I think it's yours that makes the noise. Anyway, I had a wonderful yoga retreat this weekend that was gifted to me, and I got the largest royalty check for my book, The Sorry Syndrome, that I've ever gotten. So I think on that.
This is such a good class. It's such
ever.
It's the best class ever, not only because you get to learn how to create money, but you get to learn how to make your life work and create happiness. And so these last 6 weeks that we've spent together has opened up a lot of doors for all of us. And when we can look at our life and realize that we are the ones who are in charge of our experience, then we can do anything. If we are constantly seeing the world as something that is doing unto us, instead of us doing unto it, then we can't do anything. The only thing that we can do is hang out there with race consciousness and what everybody else is doing, and we don't do that. we stand alone and we stand up and we create our life. So I'm very proud of all the demonstrations that you've made. Don't think that your demonstrations are stopping, because they are not. We have people in this center that do that treatment for freedom every day, all year, every year. And when you do that, and those of you who are sporadic tithers, get with the program, because if you do this, things happen, they come back to you. And it seems like when we start to fall into despair and we give up on coming to the center, giving out money and energy and good vibes and getting hold of our thinking, that's when everything falls apart. So don't let yourself get there. It's like that great talk John did a couple of months ago of all of these things that people do to heal themselves from unhealable diseases. And he said, let's not even go there. Start doing those things right away. And then you won't have to demonstrate the dark night of the soul to resurrect from. So I love this class because it gives us clear and concise ways to prove spiritual law. And I love all of the demonstrations that we have made. There's one woman in Dallas that emailed me and said that she was notified by her stock account that, I don't know if she has a broker or not, but that stock that she didn't know she had was in a forced sale. And they were sending her a $4,000 check. Just out of the blue. There are people all over the country that have sent in their little treatments for prosperity and are involved in the increased income program. And it doesn't stop for them, because when they tune this in 6 months or 6 years, it's still today for them. So they're going through the same process. So just because the class is ending tonight, don't let it go. Don't let go of your good. Keep track of your life. Keep holding yourself. Keep setting spiritual law in motion, and watch how it keeps demonstrating over and over and over again. It's always about us. So one of the last chapters that we're going to talk about,
I guess I gotta turn this thing on. There it
is bigness. Bigness and detail. And one of the things I like about what he says about bigness is go big. You know, if you have a choice between going small and going big, go big. What have you got to lose? You've got to lose limitation and victimization and poverty and defeatism. You've got all that to lose, but you don't have any of your success or happiness or joy to lose if you go big. So many people think, well, what is it that I could do that I would still be safe? It doesn't work that way. You can't hold on and fly at the same time. You've got to let go and risk falling. But so what if you fall? How many people have fallen before? That's why Deborah Belcher is not here today. But we fall down and we get up. And when we fall down and get up, then falling again doesn't scare us so much. So that, yeah, we may go bankrupt, we may lose it all, we may have our entire lives change, but it's worth it to go big. And one of the things I love about this chapter is he talks about not to be so petty. And that is one of my big things, both for me. I'll have a little heart-to-heart with myself and say, Barbara, don't be petty. That's petty. Don't do that. Don't be petty, go big. If someone is not acting the way that you want them to act, don't get mad at them. How dare they? I'm so insulted. I'll never talk to them again. No, 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 no. Make an alliance with them and go big. Get them to move with you where you want to go instead of fighting them about what they did in the past. So when you have thin skin, any little look knocks you off the edge. Any little thing knocks you down. You walk by the television in a restaurant or in an airport or something, and that oh my God, all the world is just falling apart. The world is not falling apart. The world is doing very well. Everything is going great. So when we can get a hold of ourselves and go for the bigger idea, go for the bigger demonstration, to not think so much about our personal safety. You know, in the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, safety is down at the bottom. We want to go up to actualization up at the top. And to do that, we can't always choose safety. And I'm not saying we should go play out in the interstate and touch cars. No, that was me as a teenager. No, we don't want to do that. But we want to allow ourselves to really go forward in life and to reach for our dreams and to put energy and effort into it. And then he says, no matter what you're doing, and that's where the details come in. So if you're washing dishes, do it in a big way. If you're driving a car, drive it the best you can. If you're working at a job where you may be doing something that is not glamorous, be the best that person ever. Do it in a good way, do it in a genius way. And what you'll find, like Wallace Wattles says, always overfill your space. Always give out more in value than you receive back. And you've always put the universe in your debt. So whatever it is, never put yourself down. Never think, oh, well, this is just like Sunday morning when I'm out on poop patrol at 8:30 in the morning so that you don't step in it. I don't think that that's a bad thing. I'm being of service to everyone here, and I'm taking care of my space. I do it with pride. I do it with gloves. But I take care of things. No matter what you're doing, whether you're the CEO of a mega corporation or whether you're not, do it with pride, understand your job, do it with clarity and with purpose and direction, and what you'll find is that you're setting spiritual law in motion. Never cop out, never give up, never fall down and stay down, always go big. And when you do that and toughen up your skin to know that my purpose out here is to do this in the best way possible, then nobody can ever put you down. Nothing that happens around you can hurt you, and it won't even affect you. You won't even notice it. I've had people come up to me and say, well, what did you think about that? And I go, what? Well, didn't you see that? No, I didn't see it. It's not in my consciousness to see it. I didn't even see it. I didn't even know this is going on. That's where we want to be. We want to create our own world in such a way that we can have the life of our dreams. And to do that, we have to energetically match that dream. And if we have a big dream, we can't be small. We'll never, never get there. So Wallace Wattles says in The Science of Being Great, he says, do even small things in a great way. And for me, that means even if you're doing something that is small, do it in a big way. Do it, just be the best. Be the clearest. Be the most enthusiastic. Be the most well-informed. Be the most committed to this. And when you do that, you're setting up an energy that says, this is my life and this is who I am, and the outer then will always reflect the inner. The next thing that he talks about is knowledge of the laws of suggestion. Right up my alley. Because when we speak, we are actually hypnotizing ourselves. So he's talking about the laws of suggestion being the things that we heard when we were growing up, about what was possible and what was not possible, about who we could be and who we couldn't be. He's talking about the things that happen in what we call race consciousness, which are the thoughts of everyone on the planet, which have very much everything to do with safety and security. And so there's a lot of fear in that race consciousness, that law of suggestion. There's a lot of limitation and separation and worry about the future. There's a lot of energy going on, and we need to be mindful that we don't let it in. That's why when I'm talking to you about doing your treatment for prosperity, I'm saying doing it over and over and over and over again so you don't let those other thoughts in. Thoughts from yourself that you may or may not know you have that come from your own subconscious, or thoughts from other people. Even when we're in the grocery store, we can hear what everybody else is talking about, whether we consciously know that or not. We can feel their energy and take it on if we're open to it. Have you ever noticed around the holidays you get tense? Consider that that's not yours. Consider that that was just upset flying around, and that you were allowing yourself to be hypnotized by that energy, by that belief, by that thought or that word or that TV commercial or whatever. You were allowing that to hypnotize you, and you took it on as truth, and it has nothing to do with you. Can you see how that works? Now consider that everything that you've ever heard in your life has nothing to do with you, but that perhaps you have been hypnotized into believing this is as far as I can go. This is as much as I'll be able to accomplish. This is as much money as I can get. This is as good as it gets. It's never as good as it gets because it's always the best day ever. And in order to be the best day ever, it has to continue to get better and better and better and better. So if we can't rely on our past, our family, our education, our years up until now to be the suggestion that we take in, what are we going to do? We're going to have to figure out how to hypnotize ourselves, how to be the law of suggestion unto ourselves. And to do that, we have to first figure out what it is we want to suggest to ourselves. So one thing would be, of course I can. One of my favorite phrases, of course I can. Of course I can. Can we do this? Of course we can. Can we have this? Boy, I remember how many years ago you raised your hand up, 2 years on the annual membership meeting and said, excuse me, but do we have any reserves? What do you mean reserves? Money comes in, money goes out. If we balance at the end of the month and there's money left over, I call it a good month. You want reserves? And now we have almost $100,000 in reserves. We had $100,000 and then we bought an air conditioner and a sidewalk and a riding lawnmower and a commercial dishwasher, but we're moving back up to the $100,000 in reserves. Of course we can have $100,000 in reserves, but unless we had the question, had the idea come forward, can we have this? And we said, yes, we can, we never would have. We never would have, no matter how much money comes in, if we don't have an intention of what we're going to do with it, then it's just going to act out in the same mindset that it always did. So the yours, what do you want? What is it that you're wondering, can I have? Can I have cartilage regrow in my knee? Of course you can. Can I have a dog? Of course you can. Can I bring a duck back to life? Of course you can. Of course you can. Can I move from Connecticut to Asheville? Of course you can. Whatever it is, takes 2.5 years evidently, but that's what you can do. Whatever it is that you're questioning about your life, how it can be, the answer has to be, of course I can. Of course I can have that. Can we have peace on earth? Of course we can. And so we start telling ourselves these things. We start suggesting new ideas into our own conscious and subconscious mind so that we put that in there and it starts to work. Ernest calls it clearing out the storehouse of the subjective mind. And so it's like getting in there with a shovel and shoveling out the crap and putting in new, clean, clear ideas and affirmations into us. How do you talk to yourself? What do you say to yourself? Do you say, I can do anything? I'm a magnificent, powerful, spiritual being and I can do anything? Do you get up in the morning and start talking to yourself? There's a YouTube video of a little girl up in front of a mirror and she's just at it with herself. You are the best. You are amazing. You are going to have a wonderful day. You are so smart. You are so clear. And she just goes on and on and on at the mirror. And then you see her father's arms come and say, okay, let's go have breakfast. But that's how she starts her day. How do you start your day? How do you start your day? What are you doing to input into your subconscious mind in a way that will hypnotize you just as much as the masses are hypnotized into lack and limitation? It'll hypnotize you into where something comes up, you go, there is a blessing in this, period and end of story. Only good can come from this. This is going to unfold great. I know that money is falling out of the sky. I know that all of my bills are paid. Not only that, but I am debt-free and I've got money piled up all around me. I know that kidneys heal, that knees heal, that livers heal, that hearts heal, that anything that you've got going on heals because you were born to heal. And we start telling ourselves that over and over and over again. First, ask yourself, what is it that you want? What is it that you want? And then start coming up with a plan of convincing yourself that is what you get. Well, I really want to be in private practice. Great. You're going to be in private practice and you're going to prosper and thrive in private practice. You got to have the courage to go big, and you got to have the thick skin so that when things are a little rocky, it doesn't freak you out, and you don't go run and hide and go, please take me back into the miserable existence I was at, please let me back into this awful life. No, you don't do that. You know that you've got what it takes to pull off what you want. And when you do that, when you talk to yourself over and over and over again about what it is you want, what it is you believe you can have, you start convincing yourself. And I don't know, as great as my voice is, it's not as good as yours. Your voice in your head carries more weight than my voice talking to you. So start talking to yourself. Talk to yourself. One of the things that my sister says is that she's not getting older, she's youthening. I call her a euthanizer. But consider that. I'm youthening. I'm youthening every day. We are rebuilding ourselves every day. Every day, every day, every day. We're regrowing organs. We're rebuilding systems. So if we're doing that, we can rebuild healthy ones easier than we can rebuild sick ones, because we were made to build healthy cells. So I'm youthening. I'm smart. I remember everything. Try that one. I remember everything. My memory is excellent. I remember everything. And then you start remembering everything, because if you tell yourself, getting old, can't remember anything, I don't know. No, that's the problem. You don't know. So it's on you to know. It's on you to take charge of your thoughts and your words, and to input into you powerful affirmations all day, every day, to where they become your default. Instead of, oh, it's a traffic jam. Wow, this is great. This is perfect for me. Whatever that is. I like to think that I avoided all kinds of death and destruction up there. That I have legions of angels putting cars in front of me to slow me down, because I'm always in my perfect and right place at the perfect and right time. So when I start to default to that, then instead of it sucking the very energy and life out of me, Asheville used to have tractors and now it has traffic. No, don't go there. Don't go there. I'm always in my perfect and right place at the perfect and right time, doing exactly what I need to do. That's my self-talk, and nobody is responsible for your self-talk but you. So what you want to do is abandon the suggestions of your past that said, this is the way life works. You work, pay taxes, and then you die. No, you live, you love, you laugh, you're in your joy, you prosper, you travel, things come to you. That which you are seeking is seeking you, and you open up to that. And you do that, you talk to yourself over and over and over again. This is the basis of sales. The basis of sales. What do sales teach people? 99 no's, and then you get a yes. So love the no's. Love the no's. One closer to a yes. One closer to a yes. Sales and athletics. They teach the athletes how to visualize. Do you ever see Michael Phelps? Before he was in a meet, he had the big headphones on, and he was just into it. He was listening to his affirmations. He was visualizing the swim, every turn, every kick, every breath, the water gliding by him, and he was intense. Did you see those pictures of him? It was like, he's doing it. He's getting himself in the groove to jump in that pool and get a gold medal. Why not us? I want a gold medal. I don't want to have to swim for it. I want to But in order to do that, I gotta get myself in the groove. Never leave the house in a bad mood. Don't do it. You've been hypnotized by the world, by race consciousness, by people who believe that all is lost, and they They love that energy. It's such a low-level way to live in fear and separation and all of that. It's up to you to talk yourself into the life that you want, and you're the only one who can. It is good to come to the center or a place like this, because you come here and there's a race consciousness here. It's of all the things that have ever happened here, all the breakthroughs, all the healings, all the joy, all the love, all the demonstrations, and you walk in here and you get that energy. But when people say that they leave here and by Monday afternoon they're in the pits again, I'm saying that's not the center, it's you. You need to take that and work it and work it and work it, and not accept the stories that were told to you as a child, not accept the gender biases, the age restrictions, the statements that were made about your intelligence or your potential in the past, not accept the ideas of economies or politics. You've got to tell yourself what's true. And you don't just do it once. Start off in the morning. Be that little girl that goes, you are amazing, you are fantastic, you are so smart, you are so clear, you can do anything. All of this good is coming to you and you've got it right now. I believe in you. Do that before you go out the door. Do that in the middle of the day. Do that at nighttime before you go to sleep. You are amazing. You're amazing. I'm not making this up. Look at all the things you've done in your life. Look at all of the things you've created. Look at with all you've been through, you're not dead or in jail. You're amazing. Give yourself a pat on the back. Lift yourself up. And if other people want to be in the oh poor me's and the ain't it awfuls, let them go. Let them go, but get a hold of yourself. Talk to yourself. Take responsibility for your own state, both conscious and subconscious. The more that you put in, the more filters down into that subconscious where we have just picked up stuff all through our lives, and much of it had no business being picked up by us. The more filters down in there and starts to clean it out, starts to clear it out, starts to shift it. And remember, you don't have to be all completely 100% enlightened to have an amazing life. You only need 51%. You just need to tip the scales a little bit. So when you're tipping the other way and you feel like things are not quite going the way you want, don't blame it on Mercury being in retrograde. That's a cop-out. Tip your scales. Get in your own face. Lift yourself up. Tell yourself you can do it. Tell yourself about all the things that you've ever done, about all the support you've got in life, about all the things that are calling you to be all that you can be and have the life that you want to have. This is on you. And it doesn't stop at the end of the prosperity class. It starts tonight. It starts tomorrow morning. And it never, ever, ever ends. Why would anyone not want to feel that? Why would anyone not want to live like that? Filled with energy, excitement, enthusiasm, and a belief in themselves. And then go big. Get thick-skinned. Don't let anybody hold you back. Don't let anybody put you down. If they do, it just rolls off your back like a duck. Believe in yourself and go for your dreams, and you will find that they are rushing to you. Emerson said, "Hast not enough, lo, thy good rushes to meet thee." Your good is rushing to meet you right now. Let's take a break.
It's been a good class, hasn't it? Yes. Thank you, Bob, for that great presentation just a while ago. This is a $100 bill. Are you using it as a bookmark? No, not that. I need to do that. I thought you would enjoy that. I needed a bookmark and it was available. Okay, so we have, let's see, 2 more secrets. I know you are just trembling with anticipation. Already read the book. Either way, here we go. Our next one is called Work, Thrift, and Investment. Work, thrift, and investment. A couple of things he says here that are very compelling. One, he starts the section with there are 2 major ways of acquiring wealth from a commercial point of view. Man making money and money making money. I absolutely agree. And the more we move to money making money, the more money we get. Because we have finite hours to actually create our own income, but when we take some of that and use it elsewhere, it really makes a difference. But you have to be very disciplined and rigorous with those kinds of ideas. He says later on here that people will get what they give. If they give nothing, they will get nothing. And that's exactly how it works. You have to give something to make money flow in your life. It doesn't just flow through you on its own. The rest of that chapter didn't interest me much. And yeah, I know, because it was written in the 1920s before the Great Depression. They learned so much from the Depression. So things that are written before there financially always are missing a little bit. When I was a businessman in Texas, there came a point where I was going to go out of business. And an old-time fellow back there that had been in business a long time said to me, until you go out of business, you're only a half-assed businessman. And there's wisdom in that, because you know what you're getting into, and you know what can happen, so the more information you have, the better off you're going to be. So being done with this chapter, we're going to move on to the next one. This title did nothing for me. Moral standards and religious faith. Oh, that is not me. That is not my life. I don't want to talk about those things. I have a real issue with the word morals, morality. Because what that is a set of standard behaviors that a society or a culture or a religious sect imposes on people. Do what we say. That doesn't work for me. That's not free thinking. That's not free will. That's not finding your way in life. That's lining up in lockstep with other people. And even though much of what we would say are moral behaviors, we would agree with. But we don't necessarily have to do that because somebody says so. What we want to do is be ethical. We want to have a high standard of ethics. Those are self-imposed and self-policed. My Native American teacher, Will Rocking Bear, would say that you are living with integrity, and he often used the word impeccability, if what you think and what you say and what you do are exactly the same. And if everyone would just live by that standard, what you think, what you say, and what you do are the same, you would have no problems with anything. So the idea of that is, let's talk about being ethical rather than being moral. Okay? And religious faith, I have no issues with people who have religious faith, but I'm much more interested in the spiritual path than the religious path. How Holmes came to call this movement religious science, I've read it, I've read the stuff, but still it doesn't resonate with me. I want to be on a spiritual path. And that takes care of the last chapter. Now I'm going to talk about what I want to talk about. I have put together and tinkered with a list of prosperity principles that really work for me. And that's what I'm going to share with you over the next few minutes, okay? I want to talk about what my standard of that is. And there are 14 principles of prosperous living that I've identified and used in my life that really, really, really work for me. Barbara's talked about half of them tonight, but I'm going to talk about them again anyway, because that's what they are. I mean, the reason that she talked about them is because they are part of who we are and how we live our lives, and that's what I want to invoke within you tonight, is an idea of what these are. So we're going to start with the first one. Know your source. This is so incredibly important. Know your source. Now, if I ask you in this class, what's your source? You're all going to say in unison, God's our source. And you'd be correct. But you may not be in that same place on the day that you get your pink slip at your job. Oh my God, what am I going to do? Comes to mind. Why would that be? Because we know intellectually that God is our source, because we come to this place and we see that that works. But in that moment of terror, maybe not so clear. And we begin to wonder how it's all going to work out. If you believe that the divine presence is your source of your life, of everything that you have and are, then you can't possibly be concerned. Obviously, you have to place some initiative on moving in a direction. That's good. We'll talk about that in a minute. But the point is, to think that something comes from anything other than that divine presence is missing the mark. It's calling you to see some limitation in life. Everybody on the planet that thinks their job is their source is playing in such a small way because it's not. And if you rely on that, as many people in the world do, what happens when that industry goes away? What happens when it changes and the company that you're working for doesn't keep up? Is that your source? Really? Does somebody want to be limited by that? And it happens all the time. You see it politically where they talk about, well, now all the people that were mining coal don't have jobs. That's probably true, and at some point that's going to be absolute. Right now it's not, it's being kind of revived and brought back. So is the steel industry and those kind of things, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But to think that because I've been a steel worker for 20 years that that's all I can do is such a small picture of who you are and how you live in life. Sometimes I swear that I see people lose their job just so they can prove to themselves they can do something that they really like. You know, I've seen people in this community go through that, where you complain about it, but you put up with it, and you put up with it, and you put up with it. And then you go to work one day and they say, well, we don't need your help anymore, your services anymore. And some people can do that and go, whoo-hoo, be happy about it, and some people not. Barbara has a nephew who many years ago was living in the Tampa Bay area, and he had come up here and fell in love with this area. It was just wonderful. But he had completed school in Tampa and got a job. He had two majors. One was chemistry and the other one was something that made him the perfect person to work in the field of testing water. So he had great skills and actually worked for a company down in Florida that did that. But he came up here, saw the place and said, oh my God, I want to live here. His wife was not at all convinced. But he was. And he said, you know what? I want to live here so much, I'll do anything. I'll scrub toilets to live here. I don't have to be this fancy chemist to live in this place. I just want to live here. So he came up, see if he could find a job. His wife's still kind of watching this and going, I'm not sure. Maybe we should go to Johnson City or Charlotte and check those out too. So they did on this trip. They did go to Johnson City and Charlotte. But this was quite a few years ago, so what I don't know whether it was the Iwana or the Citizen Times, the local paper, but he opened it up, sitting at our kitchen table one day, and spotted a job that was just the kind of work he was doing in Florida, that he was trained for. So he went, made an appointment, he went down to get the job interview, and the guy didn't hire him. And he left and said, okay, that must not be it. The guy didn't hire him because he fit so perfectly into that job that the boss thought that that was a setup. That the guy that had left that opening found him and sent him in. When he figured out that that hadn't happened, he immediately called back, no, please, we really want you here. He later became the general manager of that facility and made them a lot of money by doing some very shrewd deals. And things were going so well here, they said, well, you either have to move to Pittsburgh or we can't use you anymore because Asheville's just running too good. So he lives in Pittsburgh now. And he's quite happy with that. But the point that I want to make is that his being so willing to do whatever it took to move to Asheville created an environment that brought him a job that was so perfectly suited for him that it was never, there was absolutely no skip in how he did his work. He was very good at it. And his wife, of course, agreed to move here eventually. She got a nice job while they were here. She has another nice job in Pittsburgh. But the point is that your source is never the job. Your source is you. That divine presence that dwells within you is where you get everything. And when you're clear about it and not blocking it, what you're doing is you're moving into a sense that you can have it if you want it. And all of that idea that one way or another is your source is gone. So be with that. You, as the divine presence of your life, are your source. Have a vision. Barbara talked about this a little bit. It's true. If you want to get somewhere, you have got to move in that direction. You've got to have an idea where you're going. If you have no idea where you're going, how will you ever get there? It won't happen. Your ability to envision that life that you desire, cleanly, clearly, with all aspects, three-dimensional understanding of that place that you would like to be in your life, does not diminish where you are. So don't be in a place of discontent with where you are if you have something greater. That's what draws you. I think I'll give credit to Michael Beckwith for that idea that you are either pushed by pain or pulled by vision. Let yourself be pulled. The pain part is unnecessary. I mean, we all go through pain, but it's not a necessary thing to achieve an outcome that you want. What's necessary is that you focus in the direction you want to move. And you're willing to do whatever it takes, as Charlie was, to get what he wanted. And then allow the universe to fill in the blanks and give you all the information you need to make your life work the way you want. But you have to be the guiding force of that. You have to have a vision. And there's no one else that can give it to you. No one else that can know it. It's you. And if you're not clear about it, you go, I really don't know what I want to do. That will not get you anywhere. It will not come find you if you're not looking for it. But once you're looking for it, it's looking for you. So go ahead and know what it is that you want. Now, could it look different at the end of the day, at the end of this journey towards something new and exciting in your life? Yeah. But if you're paying attention, what could happen is that something better comes along. Something doesn't just wander along, you're drawing it to you. So be willing to do your part of the deal, and that's to know where you're going. At least have that strong idea, that clear idea, and then allow it to unfold magically in your life. It does. All the stories, and that's kind of the stuff we've been doing with this this income process that we've been involved in, is calling it to us and allowing it to show up. Barbara used to actually guarantee that people would find it. But occasionally there'd be somebody coming like, I didn't find money. Well, then you're not doing the work, because you are absolutely in charge of everything that's happening in your life. So when you're clear of who you are, when you're focused on where you're going, you must get somewhere, and it's going to be much like you planned or better. Oftentimes you didn't have enough information to have that full vision, but you had enough of a vision that's going to compel you to move in that direction. Doing that will change your life. Have a vision. Doesn't mean to be crazy. It should be big. Barbara talked about bigness a few minutes ago. It should be a big vision. That's good. That means that you're engaged. An easy vision, a thing that you knew you were going to get anyway, and I've seen people do that with visioning. They pick something that they know is going to happen. You know, they know they're going to get an inheritance when their remaining parent makes their transition. That's not a vision. It's going to happen. Right. So the idea is, do you do something that's compelling? Have an idea that's actually worth getting up in the morning for. That's when it gets interesting. So work on your vision. Make sure you know where you're going. Take personal responsibility for your life. This course ties into the source idea. But I want you to understand that in the teaching of science of mind, there's no middle ground. There's that lovely prayer that they do with AA. Help me to change the things I can and understand the things that I can't. I understand the meaning of that, and it's a graceful way of living. But you are completely, 100%, without exception, in charge of your life. Now, we talked one night in this class about the idea of willpower. And we found that that was a finite idea, that we can't do everything with willpower, that's trying to force life. And we only have so much energy to do that. But what we do have in our knowing is the ability to create anything. But we must know it. We must know it and accept it and see it as the reality of our life. So that's the good news about all this. The other part of this is that having responsibility for your life when something turns out really poopy, that's you too. But that's the beauty of it, because even though I have to look at this thing that I created, and it's not pretty and it's not easy and it upsets me, well, what's in it for you? What's the lining in that causes it to happen? I think Sylvia gave us a great example today. She was in a horrific accident, and she didn't mention today that someone died in that accident. That's hard. That's really hard, and her life was obviously on the line with all of that as well. But it turned out, and what I just heard this evening from Sylvia is that by doing that, she had this beautiful breakthrough. One of the most extraordinary experiences of her life, of feeling connected and feeling supported and feeling loved in a very difficult situation. She has those memories for the rest of her life. And it was not her choice that the other person was going to leave. So there's not a responsibility for the other person. There's always responsibility for oneself. And the role that we play is completely scripted by us. And many people would say, no, I had no thought of that ever happening in my life, whatever it was. This terrible thing had happened, I was completely caught off guard. That may be, but that just means you weren't paying attention to what you were thinking. Because there was something in you that drew that into your life. And that's not a blaming, this isn't blaming, it's actually an incredibly powerful thing for us to know that with our actions, with our words, and most of all with our thoughts, we are creating the outcome of our life. And when we worry, when we are caught in a situation that we don't like, we created that. We made that happen. We drew that to us. That's a PowerPoint in our lives to know that we can do that. We are creating that. So if I can create this mess that I'm having to deal with right now, I create something better than that. I believe that every time we have a challenge in our life, it's that divine presence within us waking us up to who we are so that we can overcome this challenge. I have found, though, that in people who are deeply entrenched in moving forward in a vision, don't have that many problems to deal with. They have challenges in achieving their vision, but they are very seldom the one that's caught in the situation that they don't want. You know, they're focused on how do I resolve this so I get to where I'm going. That's a powerful place to be, rather than, well, they turned the lights off, or they gave me a terrible prognosis at the doctor. You know, those kind of things nobody wants, but yet we somehow create them into our lives to wake us up to who we are. So I invite you and encourage you to have that vision we talked about and be moving forward with that, so that you're not having to deal with challenges that are not as pleasant and interesting and fruitful in the long run. And at the same time, when I hear your story, David, about your cartilage in your knee, I am so inspired to know that we have unlimited ability to heal our bodies. And of course, not every malady that we get is there for us to fix and regenerate from, but that's always an option. It's always an option. And using that as our choice. Amika, hallelujah, sitting down 150 pounds. Wow. What a brilliant thing that inspires me to know that someone who was struggling with life, yet being the beautiful being that you are, to have found that and made those shifts in your life and to have the result you have. My heart was just singing when you walked out of that ladies' room with that new gown on. Yeah. Wow, that's success. That is success. That's who we're here to be. Take total responsibility, and you can do anything. You can create anything. You can have whatever outcome you desire. Ooh, be aware of your karma. Most people think that the term karma means punishment. It's usually used in that type of a context. Oh, this thing's happened, it's karmic. That's not what karma is. Karma is balance. That's exactly what karma means. It balances your life. Some rough examples would be, if you lie, people will lie to you. If you steal, people will steal from you. If you, anything like that takes you to the other side of the experience. At the same time, when you're generous, people are generous with you. We'll talk about generosity here in a little while. But the idea of karma is that whatever you're thinking and saying and doing is not only going out of you, it's actually reflecting back to you. So that when you do the little dance that Barbara talked about, the little girl in front of the mirror, she was creating the opportunity to have a karmic experience of her power, of her amazing presence. That's what she was creating. Everything comes back. Life's a mirror. The law of attraction is karmic. What it is on the inside is what we experience on the outside, without exception. Without exception. So don't be afraid of the idea that your life has karma. That's a good thing. You're not having to work it all off. You're not having to atone for your sins. That's not what it's about. What it's about is whatever you're putting into your life is what you're going to get out of it. And it will create a balance. So be honest with yourself about the things that are working and the things that aren't. Mostly inside. And really be open to that in your life, that you can have it the way you want it, but it has to start on the inside. Nothing in your life starts on the outside. It all starts from within. So when you plant those seeds of prosperity, when you're willing to do whatever it takes, when you're committed to an outcome, you're setting up your karma to be success. So good for you. Congratulations. You have karma. It's a good thing. Practice self-discipline. Most people don't like that word, self-discipline, or those words. The idea that that we can't just let it all go and do whatever we want, get what we want. Self-discipline to me, though, is a gift of bringing order to my life. When I have an intention to do something and I keep that intention, I feel like I have disciplined myself to do what I say I'm going to do. And I'm living in a way that my actions are reliable, that I do what I intend to do, and that I don't live with a lot of wishful thinking. Now, there are some places in my life where I'd like to have a little more self-discipline. For example, I've only trimmed my rose bushes once this year. That means every time I walk by those bushes and go into my house, I look at the dead blooms, or the ones that are gone, the rose hips, I guess is what they're called, and think, I would love to go trim those roses. But I don't do it. So I have this thing in my life where every day I pass the rose and go, oh. Yeah, you know? And that's okay, because there are plenty of places when I do have the discipline to do what I need to do, to get where I need to go, to experience the life the way I can experience it. And that's true for all of us. But frankly, it does take discipline. It takes doing what you say you're going to do. It takes following up on circumstances and situations so that you're not leaving it to the wind blowing as to how things are going to turn out. That you're taking an active role in it. And I'm not saying that you have to control everything. The best place to control is in your mind, is in what you're thinking. To let go of as much criticism of yourself as you can. Not just of yourself, but of everyone. Because it serves no one to be critical of people in the world. It just doesn't. At best, we would be best off if we would simply love the ones we love and engage them and enjoy them and let everything else be neutral. Whatever comes into your consciousness, you have called in there. So whoever's in your life is there because of you, not because of them. It's not an accident. There are no mistakes. There's nothing wrong with anything that you've done, even the stuff that you really don't want and don't like and wish would go away. You did all that, and you have the ability to change it. Self-discipline will keep you more on that path toward your vision than anything. So give it a try. Let it be okay. It's a vision. And you're the one that'll get you there by who you are and how you use your time and energy. I love this one. Clean up your life. And Barbara talked about that idea of cleaning up all those thoughts and ideas and beliefs and all that isn't working anymore. Clean that up, let that stuff go. The best line I ever heard on this came from Will Rocking Bear, where if someone said something to him that was not true for him, that he did not experience, he would simply say that. Well, that's not true for me. Don't let it in. Don't let that suggestion outside in. The thing that I see most people having in their thoughts are that things are hard. And they say it so casually, but so with such certainty. You know, it's really hard to start that, or it's really hard to make that happen, or it's really hard to be in a relationship, or it's real, and they don't even notice they're saying it. What they're doing is they're trying to let themselves off the hook and say, it's not me. I've done everything right. It's that it's just hard. That's a lie. It's only hard if you want it to be hard. That's usually my answer, which probably is one reason I don't have that many friends. Because I'll point it out and say, well, if you want it to be hard, let it be hard. I can support you in it being hard. Oh, no, wait, what are you saying? What are you saying? You know? So, pay attention to what you're thinking. Clean up those thoughts. And if you get one, if one comes out like that, if you catch yourself saying something's hard, notice. And then say, okay, that's not true. That's the line, clear, cancel. Let's start over. I can do this. If this is important to me, I'm going to do this. This is where I'm going. Let it be okay. Now that's the cleanup in your mind. There's also some real value in cleaning up around yourself. Drive around a clean car. Have your bedroom be clean. Put away the dishes when you eat out of them. Put them in the dishwasher or wash them and put them away. Don't leave piles of clutter around you. It distracts you from your vision. You can't get where you want to go if there's a bunch of stuff in your way. I should probably include my rose bushes in that. But you know I'm going to go to the beach first. So the idea of cleaning up your life has much value. And I'm not saying you need to be obsessive like some people I know. About having everything in its place all the time. I've had men come in my basement and freak out, it's so neat. But that's okay. Clean up what you can. It will lighten your load. It will put more energy into where you're trying to get to be successful. It will make you successful immediately by cleaning up your space. Discard things you don't use anymore. Barbara is having a ball getting rid of her clothes that are too big for her now. She really is. She gets excited. Isn't that lovely? Clean it up. Let it go. Let somebody else use the thing that doesn't serve you anymore. Take it to Goodwill or the Salvation Army or something and clean up your space. You'll feel the lightness and it will make a difference in your life. Be generous. And this isn't just out of a quality of kindness or humanity to be generous. It sounds like it, but mostly when we think of being generous, it's, wow, that person's generous. Aren't they a special person? Aren't they a standout person by being so generous? You know, I appreciate you being so generous. And I say that. That's nice and it's real and it's valuable. But the bigger part of this is when you are being generous in your life, you're putting out to the world what you have to give the world. And the world, I promise you, will act in kind, bringing the things into your life that you desire. The more generous you are, the more your flow is working. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So don't think about when you have an opportunity to be generous, take it. That means that when you see the opportunity for something to happen in your life where you are giving to another person, do it joyously, do it joyfully, do it with great delight, and then watch what comes into your life. It's that priming the pump. It's getting the movement going and keeping it going. It's not that you at some point prime the pump and then it just runs forever. No, there's that constant thing of supporting that by being generous. Frankly, I think that Mary Love is incredibly generous being on the Leadership Council of Centers for Spiritual Living and traveling this last one to Utah, going to Denver, wherever they're going, and being one of only 3 lay members in our vastly large group of lay people around the world. She represents them. What a thing to do. Not an easy task. Takes away from her real estate work. But yet she's willing to go and do that. And then she sees what happens when she tells somebody about our website. And they go to tears because they're so happy. What a payoff. And how much more will Mary do in her real estate work because she is being so generous with her energy and time and money to go and do this other work. I remember talking to Christian Sorensen, who is the senior minister of the Seaside Church in Encinitas, California. He was the last president of United Church of Religious Science and the first spiritual leader of religious science. And he served for 6 years in those roles. They were the same role, they just renamed it. But he served for 6 years, and I asked him at one point, before I was in the position I was with CSL, how that impacted his center. And he said our center grew and prospered more during that time than it ever had. And he wasn't even able to be there all the time, but he was being so generous with his time and energy with that his community grew and prospered in the sharing of him. So be open to this idea of being generous. It's a powerful notion, and it's as much for you as anyone that you are being generous with. We talk about this pretty regularly around here, the idea of tithing. This is my list, so I get to put on it whatever I want. And I really believe in this idea. This idea that 10% of my money isn't mine. I'm the one that gets to give it though. And I gotta tell you, it is so wonderful to write a tithe check for me. For me, I love it. I love it. You know, I had a high school teacher, I don't know why he just came to mind, but he always would tell us in civics class that we have the honor of paying taxes. Tithing is not a tax, but it's a flow of money from the money that we get. Tithing is similar in that way, that we bring in money. And by taking 10% and saying, this goes where I'm being spiritually fed, I'm paying attention to what I'm getting, and I'll get a lot because of that, is a gift to the tither. It's wonderful the one receiving the tithe, but it's the gift to the tither because they're clear that this is their flow. And by being generous, it keeps that pump primed. It keeps that flow going in ways that you could not have imagined otherwise. So having 10%, which is tithe, anything less than that is a contribution, which is lovely, but tithing is 10%, that's what the word means. By doing that in your life, what happens is that suddenly you're in control. 10% is enough to get your attention. It's always enough to get your attention. And when you haven't ever done it before, you're thinking, giving up 10% of my money? Check and see how much you give to the government. It's more than that, much more than that. But giving 10% of your money to the place where you're spiritually fed brings forth the idea that you are highly fed. It gets your attention because it's a significant amount. Yet no one ever went bankrupt by tithing, ever. No one. So and this is also a self-discipline. The idea that I am rigorous in knowing that when money comes to me, 10% of it goes to where I'm spiritually fed. And I'm never wanting. And it's true. Since Barbara and I have been together and we have been tithers, we have never not had more than enough. We've always had more than enough. Always. Even through 2007, 2008, we've always had plenty of money to do what we needed to do. And I will never in my life stop tithing. In fact, the whole idea of Barbara and I ever leaving this center and doing that thing called retirement is such an illusion to me. And what I would know that I'd have to do immediately is find somewhere to tithe. I would have to. You know, it wouldn't make sense. How could I live my life and not do that? Because it works so well in my life. And I really encourage anyone that hasn't done it, and if you want to talk to me privately about it, I would be just delighted to share my thoughts and to hear what you want to say about it. That's 8. Number 9, be in service to life. We're starting to build a bit of a web here. The idea of being in service to life, again, is not just a nice thing to do. It's essential to you. You must give your time and energy, as well as your money, in life in a way that is productive and meaningful. I was watching a show on one of the networks that we get about the life of the Roosevelts. Teddy Roosevelt, Franklin Roosevelt, and Eleanor Roosevelt. You know, they were all related. And not just by marriage. But Eleanor was this amazing woman who was not sure of herself at all. She really wasn't. She was she lacked confidence. She was married to a very rich and powerful man, and she had money in her life, but she never really felt strongly purposeful in her life. And then when her husband, Franklin, became this Under Secretary of the Navy, she realized there were all these military people that were physically challenged or struggling in their lives, and she would go to places around Washington, D.C. and feed them food and counsel them and support them, to the point where she was the first one up in her house. She had 4 or 5 kids. She was the first one up in the house and out, going to help other people. Other people were there, they were rich, to take care of the kids. She wanted to be in service. And it was no accident in her life that she ended up being one of the most well-known and powerful first ladies of all time, because she understood the idea of being in service, and she gave her life to that. We all have to do that. We have to give ourselves to life. We have to be open to taking our time and our energy to do something for someone else. So I invite you to look at that in your life and see how that fits, because we see, especially these days, and they're promoting it much more, is that successful organizations as well as the successful individuals have an element of service in their life outside of themselves, where they give without any expectation of receiving. However, I want you to also know that I don't believe in altruism. There's no such thing. You cannot do something for someone else and not get back. It doesn't work that way. So there's no altruistic giving where you give and you don't get. Of course you get. If nothing else, you get the joy of having served. You get the joy of the thank you. That's the least you get. Beyond that, what do you get? Well, how much are you willing to serve and be in service to the world in your special way that only you can do? Service is a real powerful part of living a prosperous and successful life. Practicing good stewardship to me means that we all have stuff. We all have things. We have a car, we have a home, we have perhaps money in the bank, and we have other things as well. Are we good stewards of that? Do we use these things in thoughtful and conscious ways? Even with our money, are we good stewards of our money? Or do we end up spending everything that comes in? Or do we have some other plan here, and do we have the self-discipline to follow through with this? Are we good stewards of the things that we have in life? We use that term ownership around here. I'm the one that came up with that. And it's a great term. But the truth is that none of us own this place. We're the stewards of it right now. And there was a story, something that happened when we were first envisioning this building on this property. And I drew out some pictures of what the building might look like and shared it at a dinner with all the members that were members when we were out in Fairview. We had this 30 by 30 room attached to a single wide mobile home, and you could get about 90 people seated in it. Very close, very close. And we had about that many people the night that we cast the vision of this center. And there was a gentleman that was there that night. His name was Carol Thompson. And Carol Thompson shifted everything for us that night when he got up from his walker. He had just had a stroke a few months earlier. Got up, and through his struggle to speak, spoke as loudly as he could to share with us that what we were doing was nice for ourselves, but that it would also be an incredible gift to people 100 years from now. 100 years from now? I never thought of that. I thought about just let's get together and go do this and it'll be for us. But it'll be for people long after we're all gone. In fact, he wasn't talking about 100 years as part of this, but he certainly was talking about you. Because all of you that found this building after it was built were part of our vision back then, then we would come to Asheville and all those people that were looking for us could find us. That's you. Some even from Connecticut. Whatever it takes. But even 100 years out, when we're all off dancing somewhere else in the cosmos, there's still going to be people that come to this center and love it and learn from it and get their lives changed. That's stewardship. That's stewardship. Okay, now we're going to talk about the part that Fenwick wanted us to talk about. He called it work, thrift, and investment. I'm going to just call it save and investment. You got to start having any kind of investments by having money. Where do you get your money? Well, some people, come into money. That's wonderful. God bless them. That's great. Some people have other methods that they use, but the real method that seems to work for most people is save a portion of your money. It's like, if you tithe 10%, what if you set aside just for you 10% of the money that comes in? Oh no, now I have to live on 80% of net. Yes, it's lovely. Because what you're doing with that 10% is creating a mechanism, a way for you to develop enough money or to build enough wealth to begin to invest it. Now, I will not tell you how to invest your money, but I have to say one thing. I'm a little surprised that we don't have an investment club in this center. Because I think that there's enough information among us that would help all of us do that in our lives. Maybe it'll happen. We'll see. But the fact that all of us have the ability to set aside some money, to have the self-discipline, to put aside some money, and then to use that money to make investments and go to the place that Fenwick talked about, which is your money making money. The center's doing it. We did exactly what Lissa told us. We created some reserves. And in doing that, the Science of Mind Foundation came up with this gimmick, it was kind of fun, that they were going to match money. Not really give you the money, but give you the interest you would have made if you had the money. So we have a $25,000 showing up as our money in the foundation. As long as we leave at least $25,000 there, we'll keep getting money, interest off of that. It's like having magic money, and it's working. And there are lots of other ways that people can make money in their lives. Be an excellent receiver. So important. Somebody came up tonight, Brian, and said somebody was trying to give him money. And he said, oh, no, you don't have to do that. My mother did that. I remember lots of people in my life, oh, no, not at all. I was glad to do it. The person's holding money out to you and you're saying no? And you want to be wealthy? You want to be prosperous? That is so contrary. The correct answer is, thank you. And take the money. And tell them how much you appreciate it. And be very grateful, but take the money. Really, don't ever do that again. It blocks your flow. You're not meant to do that. You're meant to receive in this life as much as you're meant to give.
Well, it also robs the other person the opportunity to give.
Absolutely, yeah. Because if you think they're putting that money out there and don't want you to have it, you're wrong. They do, or they wouldn't be putting it out there. They want to give it, and if you block them and block yourself, no winners here. So be good at this. Be good at it. You can even go to the point to say that it's going to show up, like this increased income thing. Unexpectedly, it's going to show up, it's going to surprise you, and you go, woo, yay, and let it happen. It's good to be in the flow, and you must, as well as bringing to life, you must be willing to receive, or you're blocking your flow. Love seems like it should be something contrary to the whole idea of being prosperous in life, but it's not. I do not believe people who have a lot of money and don't understand the concept of love are not being prosperous. And they have lots of money, but as Barbara's teacher once said to us, in that case you would be very wealthy in your misery. And what good is that? It's not good at all. So be aware of love. And if you want a model for being prosperous, love's your answer, because love is infinite. It is always present. It is ubiquitous. It is always there. It cannot be kept away from you. You can deny it. You can deny your prosperity as well. Stop doing that. Love is always present. It dwells at the point of view. It dwells every other point. It is infinite in every way. Be aware of love. Stay aware of love. And finally, don't underestimate the value of gratitude in your life. As we've said before, gratitude is not a nicety. It's a necessity to living a prosperous life. Be grateful for what's there, because whatever you're putting your attention on is what you're creating. So be grateful for everything and anything you can find. And things that you can be grateful for, look at them and find something in them to be grateful for. And that will make a difference. These are the 14 points that I use in my life. I hope they have value for you. It's been a great class.
So thank you for being a part of the 2018 Summer Prosperity Class at Center for Spiritual Living Asheville. Take out what you're going to give. Get up off your butts. And anchor in all this 6 weeks and 1 day of good vibes, good demonstrations, good manifestations, breakthroughs, and openings. As I said, are you ready?
Yes!
Are you ready to be who you were meant to be?
Yes!
Are you ready to have what you are meant to have?
Yes!